Hello and welcome to Math on the Go. In this video, we are going to work on completing the square. So if you can't factor a quadratic equation, then the next thing to try is completing the square. So let's get right to it. Let's say we have x squared plus 6x plus 7 equals 0. So if we tried to factor this, we would have x and 7 times 1 would get you 7, but they both have to be positive, so you won't be able to get 6x. So what we need to do here is we need to complete the square. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract 7 from both sides, giving us x squared plus 6x equals negative 7. And then when you complete the square, what you want to do is you want to divide this x term by 2, 6 divided by 2, which equals 3, and then take that and square it, which gives you 9. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take x squared plus 6x equals negative 7, like that. And then we're going to take this 9 and we're going to put it into both sides. If you do it to one side, you got to do it to the other side. So plus 9 and plus 9. Now what we're going to do is we're basically going to take this and we're going to factor that. So if we were to factor that, we'd get x plus 3 times x plus 3. But what we're going to do is we're going to do x plus 3 squared, since x plus 3 times x plus 3 is the same as x plus 3 squared. And then we're just going to add this, which gets us 2. Now to get rid of the square on the left side, we're going to take the square root of both sides. Remember that you get a plus and a minus on your right-hand side there, which leaves us with x plus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 2. Now all we need to do is get x by itself by subtracting 3 from both sides. X equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 2. And now we've got two answers here because we got plus minus. So we got x equals negative 3 plus the square root of 2. And we've got x equals negative 3 minus the square root of 2. And those are our answers for completing the square of x squared plus 6x plus 7 equals 0. So I got another example here. Let's do that real quick. Next example is going to be x squared minus 3x minus 18 equals 0. Again, we're going to take our 18 and add it to both sides. So we get x squared minus 3x equals 18. Just like we did before, we're going to take our negative 3, we're going to have it, and then we're going to square it. So when we square this, we end up with 9 over 4. So what we have now is x squared minus 3x equals 18. And then we're going to add our 9/4 to both sides. Now what we want to focus on is making the right side just one number. So off to the side, you do a little bit of adding of fractions. We've got 18 plus 9 over 4. Common denominator would be 4, so we got 72 over 4 plus 9 over 4 equals 81 over 4. Okay, so we can rewrite x squared minus 3x plus 9 over 4 equals 81 over 4. And again, we're going to factor this left side here. And when you factor it, what you're going to have is your negative 3 halves there. So we have x minus 3 halves squared equals 81 over 4. Now, what we want to do is we want to take the square root of both sides, like we did before, plus minus on the right-hand side, gives us x minus 3/2 equals, the square root of 81 is 9, and the square root of 4 is 2. That's a plus minus. And then we're going to add our 3/2. We're going to add our 3/2 to both sides. X equals 3/2 plus or minus 9/2. Okay, so what we could do here now to get our x-intercepts is we set up x equals 3/2 plus 9/2, which equals 12 over 2, which equals 6. And we also have x equals 3/2 minus 9/2, which equals negative 6 over 2, which gives us negative 3. So our answer is x equals negative 3 and 6. Sorry, I ran off the side there. But that is how you go about completing the square. And I could do one more quick example. Let's say we have 3x squared plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. First thing we want to do is we want to have a leading coefficient of 1 when we're trying to complete the square. So let's divide the whole thing by 3. So 3x squared becomes x squared plus 6x becomes 2x. Our 3 becomes a 1, and 0 divided by 3 is still 0. And now we're going to move our constant term, our c term, to the right-hand side. X squared plus 2x equals negative 1. And just like we have done before, we're going to take our 2 and we're going to divide it by 2, which gives us 1. Then we square it, which still just gives us 1. So what we have is x squared plus 2x equals negative 1. And we put in our 1 on both sides. And then we're going to factor this side out now, which becomes x plus 1 squared equals negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Then we're going to take the square root of both sides. So that becomes x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, and then we're just going to turn this, or subtract 1 from both sides, giving us x equals negative 1. Now, if you notice, that's only one x-intercept. Why aren't there two? Well, what this boils down to is the graph is going to look like this. Negative 1 being right there. It only crosses the x, or not even cross, but y is equal to 0 only at x equals negative 1. So that's why we only have one x-intercept. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this helped you out if you were struggling a little bit with completing the square. If you made it this far, please like this video, subscribe if you would like to, and keep an eye out for new videos. If you have any suggestions for math problems you'd like to see in the future, please post those in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.